What's going on, everyone? Back to cover this NBA slate for Sunday. We have 3 games today, so let's get started. As always, appreciate it, the like on the video and subscribe if you have not already. Last night was a pretty good day. Some of the Blazers players came through, like Simons and Anthony, even though SGA was god awful, but still able to make some money. So happy about that. And let's see if we can do it again today. So starting off at point guard, we have Luka Doncic. He's questionable right now, but I fully expect him to play. They have a couple of players questionable, him and Hardaway, and I think Dorian Finney-Smith and Burke. But it's the second game of the day. Hopefully, we'll get news by 1. If not, I still think they're going to play. It's a must-win for them. At 11-2, Luka was pretty bad. They just got blown out in that last game. He just didn't shoot the ball well. They kind of made it tough on him, but I still go back to Luka. It's a must-win game. He's gonna probably see like 40+ minutes if this game is remotely close, and I think he's gonna do whatever he can to keep his team in it, keep his team within striking distance. Donovan Mitchell's 97. Not that onto that price tag. Just seems a little bit more expensive. Like I think there's some other good plays on the slate. Jamal Murray's $1,000 cheaper, who's shown a similar upside to Mitchell. Just been doing everything recently, like rebounding and assisting. He's been the best player the last couple games, keeping them in the series. Last game, going nuts in the second half, and I think he's probably going to do that again. He played basically the entire. Yeah, he did play the entire second half last game, and could see him playing like 42, 43 minutes today, with it being a must-win again. Van Fleet at 77. I think the price tag is just a little high. I mean, him and Lowry both similarly priced. I'm not really on to either one. That Boston game is probably like my least favorite of the day. I like the other two a little bit more. Conley at 66. I guess that's a decent price tag, but yeah, I guess it's a decent price tag. He was in some foul trouble last game, but I think he'll normally get you like mid-30s, high 30s in fantasy points. The guy that I like quite a bit at point guard is going to be Trey Burke at just 4,800. I played only 29 minutes. That game was also out of hand, so definitely lost some minutes in that one. If he's playing well, he's going to see like 35 to 38 minutes with no Porzingis again. So he's a guy that has shown a big-time ceiling just because he can get hot shooting, and he's just going to continue to shoot. And Luka's a guy that will get him open looks. So 4,800, good price point. Some pretty solid upside. I think he looks like a pretty good option at point guard. Definitely one of my favorite cheap options. I like him a little bit more than Seth Curry, although Curry's definitely viable. And that's kind of it. Like besides Curry, I don't think I'll go cheaper than that. Moving on to shooting guard, it's Mitchell. This position is probably the weakest on Draftkings. Besides Mitchell at the top, there's not too many guys in the mid range that stick out. Like nobody in the 5 to 6K range that I'm just dying to play. Nobody below like 5K that looks incredible. So I think it's probably going to be an idea where I spend up in the 6 to 7K range here. Like between Hardaway and Lou Williams. I think Lou Williams looks like definitely a viable option. Only played 22 minutes. That game was out of hand. I don't think he saw any minutes in the fourth quarter, but he's still been playing very well this series. Been shooting the ball great. He shot over 50% in all of the last 4 games in this series, and he can get you assists, get you rebounds. Just leading the second unit. He's gonna get the minutes in it. He's probably gonna be in the closing lineup if this game is close. So Lou Williams definitely looks like a solid option at shooting guard just because there's not that many that look appealing. At small forward, it's Luka Doncic. This position is pretty loaded. You have Luka, Kawhi, Tatum, George, all the top like 4 of the best plays on the or 4 of the highest ceiling guys on the slate are all at this position. Luka Doncic is still my favorite because Kawhi can get you like a little bit of everything, but Luka can just get you like 15+ rebounds, 15 assists, like 40 points. Just being the guy on the team. Like Kawhi still has Lou Williams and Paul George that can take some stuff away. Like this is gonna be Luka Doncic's show today, and I see him having a very big game. Paul George finally showed some life in that last game. Made a bunch of shots, 12 of 18. You think he might be a little bit popular today, just depending on. I wish he was shooting guard eligible. That would make things a lot easier, but I think you could go to Paul George if you want. And then for some value at this position, I like Joe Ingles. I think is a decent option at 54, but I'd rather go to like Jeremy Grant, who played 40 minutes in that last game, he's going to play a huge minutes just for his defense. And he's a guy that can run into rebounds, run into just some like peripheral stats. And he's going to shoot if he's going to play like 40 minutes. He'll probably shoot like around like 10 to 12 times. And I think it just looks like a decent option. A guy under 5K. So going over to power forward, we have Tatum at 92. The price tag is just a little bit expensive for me to get to. But if I'm going to be paying up for Luka, it's just kind of tough. If you play Tatum, you're going super cheap, and I'd probably like Murray over him, who's a little bit cheaper. There's not that much spend up to this position. I'll go like in the 5K range. There's a couple guys that look good, like Maxi Kleber at just 5,200. Finally made some threes after being like 1 for 19 or something like that in the series, at 1 for 11. Made 2 out of 4 threes, so hopefully can keep that going, although it has been a couple days since they played. But he's been pretty surprising that he hasn't been shooting a lot. Like, he hasn't shot over 10 times in any of these games, basically shooting like 5-6 times a game, which is just not going to get the job done for a ceiling perspective. But 5,200, he's going to get the minutes. Without Porzingis, like, they don't want Boban out there, so he's been seeing 35, 37 minutes in close games. I think Kleber looks fine. Finney Smith is 5K. He's also a guy that doesn't shoot a lot. He's there for his defense. I'd probably go Kleber over him, although both are definitely viable. And that's pretty much it at that position. There's like a handful, like 5-6 guys that should be in your player pool. And I think Jeremy Grant at 4,800, just given the combination of the minutes that he's going to play, the fact that he can get you blocks and steals and run in some rebounds, and hopefully he'll just shoot and make some of his shots today. And then at center, we have Jokic at 95. With Murray going off, Jokic has taken a backseat. Even though he hasn't really taken a backseat, he's still been playing great. But he's taking a backseat in like the rebounding and assist department. He hasn't been doing a ton of that. Murray has been kind of chipping in some of that stuff. But overall, I think Jokic looks like a fine option. He's going to play. Him and Murray both played the entire second half, so he's going to play huge minutes. I think last game was also when he had like 21 real-life points in the first quarter, and then he just had 10 for the rest of the game. But Jamal Murray went off, so he didn't really need to do anything. But 95 for Jokic still looks fine. Not going to be paying 78 for Gobert. I'd rather go cheap at that position or spend up for a guy like Jokic. So if I'm going cheap here, I think I'd look at like one of the Clippers centers like Zubac or Harrell. Harrell played like 23 minutes in the last game. That was the most he's played the series, I believe. Played pretty well. He got a lot of that in the fourth quarter when the game was kind of out of hand, but I still think he looks decent. But Zubac didn't play any minutes in the fourth. I think he'll still lost like at least a couple minutes. And I feel a little bit more safe that Zubac will see like more minutes than Harrell. And I think Harrell might get more love just because he's cheaper. But I think I'd rather go Zubac at just 46. And then at guard, Jamal Murray just sticks out just because he's 8,600 and he has like a 60, 70 point upside. Even an 80-point ceiling. Like, he's been playing great. His shot's been falling. He's been making a bunch of threes. He can get to the rim. They're just having a tough time defending him. And I think Jamal Murray knows that. He's probably going to have to continue to shoot just because, like, it's him and Jokic. Nobody else has really stepped up this series offensively. So these are the 6 guys that I like for DK. Let's go over to Fanduel. Okay, on Fanduel point guard, we have Jamal Maria 86. Same price tag on both sites. I think he looks good on Fanduel as well. Kemba is 78, not that interested. I think Kyle Lowry looks decent at 75, like he should be in consideration. Fanduel made some changes to some of the guys, like Lou Williams is now point guard eligible, 58. That looks definitely appealing. And then Burke at 5K is like another guy that looks appealing. But right now, Jamal Murray, just with the upside that he has, I think it's a tough fade. At shooting guard, this position is still pretty loaded, although it's less loaded with Lou Williams now at point guard. But you have Luka, you have Donovan Mitchell, George, Van Vliet, like 4 really expensive guys. And then for value, you have a couple of guys that look decent, like Powell and Clarkson, and then Gary Harris. Probably won't play a lot, but I think he's expected to play today. But right now, I'm just going to go with Luka Doncic. Like, it's tough not to have him, personally, just because I think he's going to go off today. At small forward, Kawhi is 10-8. I find it easier to fade Kawhi than fade Luka just because At a small forward, you still have a bunch of guys in like the 5K to 4K, like especially the 5K range that can exceed 6x value, like Hardaway and Ingles and Grant. They all look fine, even Jaylen Brown. Right now, I like Jeremy Grant at 4,800. At power forward, you have Tatum at 96. Like, I know I'm not gonna have any Tatum. That's just too expensive when I want to pay up for like Luka and Jamal Murray. This position, you have another bunch of guys in the 5K range like Kleber and Morris, and like O'Neal at 46 that can be good value plays, and Ibaka at 68. I think going Kleber looks fine at just 5,400. Like, the minutes are going to be there. It's just a matter of when he will start to shoot more, if he will. And then at center, Harrell is more expensive than Zubac, so I like Zubac anyways. So I'd rather go Zubac over Harrell. And that's pretty much it. Like, I'd rather go Zubac over Gasol. And then if Jokic looks like the best play, if you want to spend up. But if not, you could go with Zubac and just hope that he gets around like 28 minutes. And he's been pretty good this series in terms of point per minute production. So if he gets like 25 to 28 minutes, should at least be able to hit you 5 to 6x. So that's pretty much it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and good luck today.